Welcome to the preview of the 2016-2017 Premier League. It's been a great start already. Ben, we enjoyed a fantastic pre-season, right?
Yes, and the Community Shield was certainly fantastic.
Community Shield was good. So if you made it to the launch, thank you very much for coming. If you tuned in, all the better. You got to enjoy a great start to our Premier League season. But Ben, this is where it actually begins. Now, lots of people say that Leicester won't defend their title. I don't know about that. But there are about 5 or 6 teams that are really set now to challenge for the honours. There's defending champions, Leicester, there's Chelsea, there's Manchester United, there's Manchester City, there's Arsenal, there's Liverpool. Let's even add Spurs to that bracket. So we have 7 teams who could potentially win the Premier League. We've seen these teams develop over time. Just quick thoughts really on what kind of season we are going to get, what kind of season we will have on our hands in the next 9 or so months.
Boy, have I missed the EPL.
Everybody's missed it.
Yes, I mean, it's been what, close to 3 months already?
Yeah, about 90 plus days.
I mean, we saw the Euros, we've seen the Olympic Games, but nothing quite beats
Olympic Games are still going on.
Exactly,
really,
nothing beats the Premiership, and we are excited to be back. Leicester City, I mean, I'm certainly not expecting them to defend their title, but I expect them to have an interesting season. I expect them to have a season of self-discovery, I will call it, because the team is not vastly different from what we saw last season, but they are likely to go through a different phase right now because they have arrived at a point where they have achieved the unexpected. It will be interesting to note how they react to going into a different season where other teams have brought in new managers, they've brought new, exciting, expensive players. It will be interesting to see how they adapt to all
How do Leicester attack this season? Because now they won't have N'Golo Kante, and I think that he was a great part of their success last season. We'll talk about the 100 plus tackles and interceptions, whatever. But moving forward, he provided them with some thrust, and some of Jamie Vardy's goals all came down to N'Golo Kante's industry, really. Can Danny Drinkwater do the job? I know they've brought in a replacement from France, but will we see Leicester change slightly? Because I have a feeling that they might not have that same air blowing around them this season.
I mean, I think it depends largely on how you want to look at it. I feel that Claudio Ranieri has already revealed that in the latter stages of his coaching career, he's not the tinker man anymore. He's the consistent one. I mean, if you can take a page out of the book of Jose Mourinho, the 4-4-2 is what they simply do. So it will be same theory. Hound the opponent for the ball, counter-attack, quickly break, and then try to get your goals. And they have added another speedster to their lineup. So N'Golo Kante goes away, and Ahmed Musa, the Nigerian, steps in. He will not influence play in the same manner as N'Golo Kante, but boy, we do not expect him to. Danny Drinkwater, I think, will take inspiration from getting rejected for the England squad ahead of the Euros to play even better to ensure that new manager Sam Allardyce can simply not leave him out of his plan. So for the central midfield department, I certainly think that is where all the cooking will be done for Leicester City, and it will be interesting to see what sort of dish they will have prepared at the end of the day. But I feel that N'Golo Kante's departure will only spur this Leicester City side on to ensure that people will not attribute their success mainly to the Frenchman, but will believe that it was a holistic team effort that got them.
Well, I mean, in the off-season, we had Wes Morgan signing a contract extension. It looks like our own Daniel Amate will start to get some more minutes either in defense or in the middle of the park. But you see that, or you feel that he will be a strong part of that story. Let's move it on. Let's look at the 2 Manchester clubs, the teams who are trying to get revenge, quote unquote, on the league. So there's Manchester United, who have brought in Jose Mourinho, and in coming into the job, he's brought in Henrik Mkhitaryan, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Eric Bailly. He's trying to spec this team. He's trying to get it to work. He's trying to bring in, are United ready for an onslaught? A lot of people blasted Louis van Gaal's tenure and said that he didn't let them play some very good football and all of that. Now it's under Jose Mourinho, who is fond of winning titles at usually the very first time of asking. Can he get it right? And we juxtapose that to the blue side of Manchester, who are also trying to find a new identity under Pep Guardiola.
Well, I mean, I think that first of all, we need to talk about the fact that the Premiership is excited to have Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola rekindle
in one city.
Their rivalry again in one city. And now they are even closer than before. I mean, back then they were rivals with regards to Real Madrid and Barcelona. Now they get to share the same city. In fact, you can see the other's home ground from your home ground as well. So this is going to be very, very personal. And I think that we are about to see a direct change of tactics and how things were done last season as compared to how things will be done this season. You ask about Jose Mourinho hitting the ground running and probably expecting a plethora of goals in United's opening games. I don't think that will happen. I think that Mourinho is a very calculating manager. So he will keep it tight in the opening few games, try to grind out results, try to at least get rhythm or try to shore up quite a number of points, and then he will let loose in the games that will precede those ones. I mean, once the team has rhythm and once the team has points they can fall back on, they can start to play a bit more freely. And you do certainly agree with me that a team that has been put together will barely ever start playing free-flowing, attacking football and be scoring tons of goals without giving away a number of goals at their own end. So it will be cautious from Jose Mourinho. It will even be more curious on the blue side of Manchester, because we know that Mr. Pep Guardiola certainly loves he loves fine details.
Yeah, and let's stay with that. There's a part of me that feels, and I know Manchester City fans rather, will not like me for saying this, but the Premier League always throws up a rude shock for every new person. It's either a player who's struggling to adapt or a manager who's struggling to. Pep Guardiola is certainly going to get that shock, and we all know it will come. But do you think Manchester City fans will be happy when they see their team passing the ball for hours on end, or they would at a point love to see the football being more open, being risky? Because under Pellegrini, and I feel that Pellegrini's football was great. Some say it was naive, yes, but I felt that it played to the strengths of the attacking talent he had. Do you think Pep Guardiola will dumb that kind of football down and try to be more obsessive with the ball, or he will follow Manuel Pellegrini and still play very open football?
Well, obsession with possession football and Pep are one in the same person. So I don't think that we will see anything different from what we've already seen from what he's done with his previous teams, Bayern Munich and also Barcelona. But I do certainly think that Manchester City are not going to experience a very sharp change, because you look at Manuel Pellegrini and his system was possession based as well, only it wasn't totally fixated on keeping the ball. I mean, Roberto Mancini did also practice Pep Guardiola's philosophy, only in a lower sense. So I mean, it won't be vastly different, but the good thing about the team that Pep Guardiola has currently is that he has players like David Silva. I'm saying he has players like David Silva because they already understand the culture of keeping the ball, passing the ball, and not letting your opponents have it. For instance, you look at the system that, previous Spanish head coach Vicente Del Bosque used to play with the national team, and it was very similar to what Pep Guardiola used to do, and David Silva was a key cog in how that strategy worked. But I think that David Silva, he slowed down significantly due to the injuries he's had in recent times. He's had a couple of surgeries, and those have certainly taken a toll on him. But I mean, if the words of Angelo are anything to go by, that football is actually played with the brains and your legs are only the tools, then David Silva is certainly up there with the best of them. And again, like I'm saying, I feel that he has a point to prove. His assist numbers have dropped, his pass completion numbers have dropped, so he will certainly be looking to make it up. And now he has a manager who understands football from the roots where he learns them. So it will certainly be a bit easier. Kevin De Bruyne, I think that presents Pep Guardiola with a lot of exciting options, because he can play in a number of positions, he can adapt to a number of different roles, unlike David Silva. So I think that he will be used a bit more, if what I saw last season was anything to go by, in the role of the Rom Dieter. And we know that Pep Guardiola has already established or experienced that with Thomas Muller at Bayern Munich. Thomas Muller had a fantastic season. He was scoring goals for fun, and Kevin De Bruyne also provided double digits in assists and in goals as well. So I mean, shifting him around or tweaking his role and position should only keep things interesting for other managers and opponents.
You added the fact that he can score as well, but he can create. So double threat really, David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. Of course, it's just Kelechi here naturally. He looks like he will get to enjoy his time at Pep Guardiola. But let's move on to the London clubs now. So there's Arsenal, there's Chelsea, and then the Spurs. We cannot have this conversation without Spurs because they exceeded expectation last season. I am of the view that the Spurs players and Mauricio Pochettino, they need to, one, forgive themselves for losing the league the way they did, and two, encourage themselves from losing the league the way they did. I don't think they will finish in the top 4. I feel that it will be too tough for them. I don't know what you make of Spurs' chances. Now they've added Vincent Janssen to their team, Victor Wanyama. What are they preparing for? Is it life, trying to double European football and English football? What are they trying to do at that club?
Well, I think that they are certainly trying to give themselves more power and a better chance to win. More options as well. And that's why they've gone out and shelled out the money to buy Vincent Janssen. Victor Wanyama, I am very surprised that he ended up joining Tottenham because Arsenal were the ones who were making all the noise about him before the off-season. I think that he's a fantastic addition to their midfield setup. I can picture a midfield setup of Wanyama, Dele Alli, probably Eric Dyer. I wonder where the opponents are going to play their football. And you get the sense that Mauricio Pochettino is again going to work his team to be fitter than most of the clubs this season. Liverpool will certainly want to rival them for the fittest team come the current campaign. But again, I think that they have tried to plug the loose holes that prevented them from annexing the title last season. I certainly think that Victor Wanyama is not too far away from the elite box-to-box central midfielders in world football these days, and he's a wonderful capture. Not the highest profile player, not the one with the most fanfare around him, but certainly a workhorse. And I think that he will be key to how their strategy works. Vincent Janssen, he's proven that he can score goals. They already hold the current top scorer in the league, so it will be interesting to see how both men complement each other, how they are even used.
What happens to Son? Because of Dele Alli, Son Min-hyun struggled to get into the Spurs team. Scored against Chelsea on that very eventful night when they had to win to keep that challenge up. What happens to him? Do you think he will be leaving, or you think that they'll still keep him around, to add more to what they are doing?
I mean, if you know Son and you follow his progress from the Bundesliga, I do not think that his lack of opportunities and lack of goals in his opening season is by any means a marker by which you can judge his ability. I think he's a fantastic player. He can get goals. He's a hard-working guy. And most of all, I will want to see how mentally resilient he is, because the situation he's faced with currently really is not new to a lot of footballers. You have a lot of clubs that have a lot of quality players in the same position. It's up to you to really prove yourself and prove to the manager if you deserve to be starting ahead of the rest of your teammates. I feel that opportunities will come. It's a long season. There might be injuries. There might be unforeseen casualties during the season, and he will certainly be a quality backup to have. But I think, again, that with regards to him leaving or staying, it will depend on how mentally tough he is. Does he think he is good enough to usurp those who are currently in the position right now? Or does he simply think of himself as a backup player who can possibly get better opportunities in the lesser team?
Well, we'll see. Now that Clinton Nji is gone on loan. I know they're bringing in Georges Nkundu from Marseille. Clinton Nji is gone in the opposite direction. It's a pity that after just half a season, he's going back to France. We'll see what happens to him. Let's move on to their North London rivals, Arsenal. The team that divides so much opinion. Some people say they have an experienced unit. They've got the Premier League's most experienced manager now. Is this the season where Arsenal kick on and surprise everybody and win the league, or they are still a few players short of that kind of challenge?
We talk about a colossal collapse for Tottenham. I think that Arsenal's collapse was even
bigger.
It was bigger. It was certainly bigger. You look at the sort of form they came into just about before the last phase of the season, and they have to be very, very
I feel the day they beat Leicester on Valentine's Day, that was when
they
should have kicked on.
Was handed to them,
yes.
But they couldn't pick up the baton and take it on from there. And I think that looking at the sort of squad they have available to them this season, it won't be a very different season for Arsenal. They will play good football.
Out for 5 seasons,
exactly.
5 months rather.
Yeah.
Yes, 5 months. Yeah. That will affect them, you think?
We all know that Arsenal's season will be defined by the sort of transfer window that they have, and it's not been very different this season. They've been linked with all the big names out there, but have dragged their feet on all of them and have not made a concrete move for any of those big names. Arsene Wenger speaks about possibly bringing in a replacement for Per Mertesacker, which I think he must do. I think, in fact, he must bring.
You see the press talking about Paul Pogba's crazy transfer fee, right?
Interesting the priorities of Mr. Wenger these days. But I think that at a time like this, he should be looking to possibly bring in 2 serious centre backs to shore up their back line, and also be looking to purchase that world-class centre forward that the team has been screaming out for. I mean, they go up in the opening game against Liverpool, and if you've seen Liverpool in the pre-season, you will really be quaking in your boots. They've added quite a number of players. They might not be big names, but they certainly look like they buy into the manager's philosophy. Mentality is right where the manager wants it to be, and you can tell that they are raring to go, especially to correct the errors of last season.
Lots of pace in their team. Wijnaldum, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, there's still Philippe Coutinho, there's Danny Sturridge, who will come back from an extended break due to the Euros.
Exactly. So you're really asking yourself if Arsene Wenger is waiting to be handed a rude awakening by Liverpool on opening day before maybe he goes or dips his fingers back into the transfer market. I certainly think that they will have a season like they've always had. Good season. They will win games you don't expect them to win. They will look like they are challenging for titles, but they will not be able to annex the trophy. I mean, their top 4 status might even just be under threat for the first time, because now I do not even think that we will be talking about the top 4. Of course, the top 4 will be eligible for the Champions League, but it will be a top 6 this season.